So it goes like this. It goes like, I think we're over the beef, whatever the beef is between Kendrick and Drake. However, let's talk about, okay, they're not like us. All right, cool, they're not like us. The question really is, do they want to be like us? And you would say, Rome, of course they do. They're imitating our culture. Now, we talk about culture. There's an American black culture, which is underneath an American culture, right? And the American black culture is very unique to the American black people. I want to make sure that's very, very clear, because I think we're like grouping all these people together like ADOS, African descendant of slaves. That's too broad. It's too big. Now, foundational black Americans, that's a whole other situation. Anyway, welcome to Disruptive Minds. I'm your host, Jerome A. Carter, and the A stand for always learning. So what I'm going to break down on this today is culture. Specifically, the American black culture, which is very specific to American black people of the 1808. We're going to layer this down. We're critical thinkers over here. We're going to layer this down. We're critical thinkers. We're working on our mind. So you who have short attention spans, go ahead and bounce. People who are not going to watch the whole video and then comment later, you'll know what you're talking about and da. Cool. Prove me wrong without saying you're just wrong. Okay, prove it. Write in your comment. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. And just by saying you're wrong, you don't know I don't got to know all of history. I got to know enough. Like I said, I do this for real. Anyway, let's go do this culture thing. Let's look up culture. Culture, the customs, art, social institutions, and achievements of a particular nation, people, or other social group. Example, Caribbean culture. So, when we talk about American black culture, we're talking specifically about American black people who were born here in this country, meaning their grandparents or great-grandparents were born here in this country, where they have no connection to the old. All right, 1807, 1808, the good white men of this country decided to make a law and say, all right, we're going to ban slavery. It's just causing us too many problems, blah, blah, blah. However, industry started catching up with the farming, and they was like, oh, we need people to work, more people to work, because now industry's catching up. We got a cotton gin, we got a bunch of other stuff. So they started bringing in more people from Africa, particularly women, because initially they were only bringing in men because they needed men to work. Women were here. They brought in the women as concubines and things like that, not necessarily to work as slaves in the fields and building and stuff. They weren't particularly bringing women over. But around 1807, 1808, they already shut all that down. They started bringing more women over. Why? But they want them to breed with the black men who were already here in the breeding farms on the East Coast. Look it up. Virginia, Maryland, I think it was some Carolina. They had breeding farms. So they went from like 400,000 or so blacks to 4 million. Because they had these breeding farms. And because they were breeding them here, they were taking away their ancestral connection. See, we talk about culture, people from other countries have their culture still intact, still have their language, still have their ancestry connection. You could honestly say that black Americans, specifically American black Americans from the breeding farms, have had it severed. It's cut. It's gone. There is no, you can say, oh, I'm from Africa. What part of Africa? Well, I'll do my DNA. Okay, but if you went back to that place, they want to know what tribe you're from, who your people is, and you're not going to be open arms welcome to come over there, because they're going to look at you as what? An American black male, an American black female. They're not going to be all open like that. You know, it's not true. I know people who are over there. Okay, great. The 7 or 8 people who are. What about the millions who aren't? Come on now. Let's not go with this. This is exception to the rule doesn't negate the rule. You're just not going to go over there and start doing things. Things function differently on over that. They function way differently. And then when you've been Americanized, you're expecting a certain way of it to function. And when it doesn't, it starts to do something to you. Yeah, we got corruption here, but we have a more of an organized corruption when it comes to politicians, more of a RICO Act when it comes to politicians here versus the wild world who just do what they want to do. You have countries like North Korea, Iran, certain other countries ran by people on the top, Saudi Arabia, Middle East. Those countries, they're like, hey, this is how we do things. This is how I want things to be done. There isn't no structure. It's just how I want that thing to be done. You come to the United States, it's sort of kind of a structure here. So when you go overseas and you don't get that structure, come on. So let's stop with this whole, well, you can go, yeah, good luck. That's why they come right back. You can't open a business, just start a business over somewhere else. You can't just get an LLC and start buying things. Yeah, you can. Okay. 1808. They brought the breeding farms. They had American black men and women who were born in the breeding farms. Those were our great-great-great-grandmas and great-great-great-granddad, great-greats. They were born here. They were given the Bible. This is your religion. You're an American. Go out there and start, working the fields. You were disconnected. It's like the Men in Black. When they do the little pin, they're like, boop. And they just tell you, okay, this is what happened and blah, blah, blah. And you're like, yeah, okay, that's what happened. There's no connection. We have no connection. That's why when I made a video about the American black male and how very unique he is, because we have no connection. You can do all the DNA you want to. The connection is not there. You can actually say, okay, I know my dad is from this tribe in Nigeria. Great. Go back to that tribe in Nigeria and start living over there. Your connection, it doesn't work that way. It's 2024. You just go over there, okay, I'm part of this tribe. I'm back. What's up? Let's go do. They be like, okay, American. So you're going to have your ways of thinking, how they should function. And it's not a seamless transition when you just go like that. It's not seamless. It doesn't work that way. It's like being away from your family for a while. You just come back and you're like, hey, I'm back. And you want like a seamless transition into you're back now. No, it's been years later. Things were different. That was that was back in the early 1900s or something like that. And now you're back. Like, you just want to chill. Don't work like that. That's why we're very, very unique when you talk about the American black community. It's very unique. Now, let's go into this, they're not like us. When I talk about they're not like us, what I mean by that is, but what part of us do they want to be like? So I want to be very specific on this part too. Because once you take away the arts mean entertainment, sports, and all this other crap. Take that away. Also, take the food away. Now, if you take the arts and the food away from any other culture, they still have a structure. What is that structure? They have a family structure. There's no debate that the American black community does not have a family structure. Well, yeah, they do. Be real with yourself. You just want to debate, just a debate, cool. Do that. But people who have critical thinking skills know that there is no family structure when it comes to the American black community. The man is not in charge. All these good Christians walking around here, right? Supposed to be what? God, man, woman, child. That's how it's supposed to work with these good Christians walking around here. And you go to any other place in this world other than the United States, that's the flow. That's why when Americans go overseas, they catch so much hell, because they're not used to that, especially the American black female. Because she's in charge here. And why are the men not in charge here? Because the way the laws are written up here in these states, the men are just like, they ain't trying to deal with all that smoke. Overseas, they don't have all that. They don't have domestic violence. They don't have family laws and all this. They don't have the government stepping in and all this. You start going overseas, you start seeing real things and how they really function in the real world. That's why people say America's like a matrix. This is not the real world. When you go overseas, you see the real world and how it is. You need each other overseas. That's why there is God, man, woman, children. You don't need that here in the States because you have government, state, local, federal. See them in WIC, EBT, Section 8, Those things are not overseas. So when you hear this whole, what part of the American black community, the only part that most people overseas, the majority of people overseas want to follow is what I call the DSM. Now the DSM, when it comes to mental health, is called the Diagnostic Statistical Manual. That's the Bible pretty much for mental health. If you're in any type of mental health, that is your Bible, DSM. But when it comes to culture, and what part of culture, like they say there's culture vultures and they're stealing our culture and they're stealing our culture. What part of the culture are they actually taking? Be very clear, think this out. What part of the culture are they actually taking? What part of the culture are they actually vultures on? What part of the culture, the American black community's culture, are they actually going after? They're going after what I call the DSM, which is what? Drugs, sex, and money. That's it. Drugs, sex, and money. So what does that mean? Drugs, sex, and money. That's the gang culture. That's the rap culture, the thug culture, the street culture, the clothes culture, the swag culture. They're going after that part of the American black culture. They're not going after the other parts. That's why I said we got to dismiss the food and dismiss the entertainment, sports and rap, music. You got to dismiss that. Well, that's part of the culture. I understand that's part of the culture. Don't be stupid. I understand that. However, it's part of it that we can separate and see what is the core, what's the foundation of the American black community. What's the foundation? You know, I love talking about foundations. What's the foundation of the American black community? I'll wait. Because you can't say family. You know that's not, come on now. The core is woman, child, dog, then the man. And that's just, they're not going to follow that. Nowhere in this world they follow the woman, child, dog, man. No. And that's why our foundation's all over the place. That's why there's no cohesiveness. Because we talk about culture, we talk about sports, rap, DSM, drugs, sex, money, which is the women and pimping and swag and cars and jewelry, you know. That's for the woman. That's DSM, drugs, sex, money. But we want to keep having these debates. They're still in our culture, but what part of the culture? The part that we can live without. We can live without that. We can live without the drugs, sex, and money. If that dropped off tomorrow, for whatever reason, boop, no more drugs, sex, and money, we would still function very well. It's not like we need that to function as a community. American black community doesn't need the drugs, sex, and money to function. Do they need money to function? Of course. You need to pay bills and all this other stuff. Let's not get stupid with it. But when the money involves the drugs, sex, and money, that's totally different. So when you start critically thinking, start really thinking this all the way out, you start coming up with different, and then the problem is the fact that I'm making sense, but you don't want me to make sense because of who I am. Like the one guy I listened to online, Alan Strong says, it's not that they don't like what you're saying. It's like they don't like who's saying it. You don't like who's saying it. You don't like me saying it. Somebody else say it, it'd be different. Right? You see what I'm saying? If Dr. Jordan Peterson said it, you'd be like, okay, that makes sense. If some psychologist out of the blue just said the exact same thing I said, almost word for word, they'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. It's one of those things. Don't kill the messenger. I'm just breaking this down to help you, to help you, to help you. Once you take the drugs, sex, and money, that's the only part of the culture, quote unquote, they're taking. Oh, they're taking our music, and they're taking their music, and they're culture vultures, and they're taking our music and making money from our music. Okay. That's one piece of the puzzle, but they're not taking the fact that the families are dysfunctional, and it's the mom on top. Are they taking that part? No, they ain't taking that shit. They're just taking that degenerate side of the American black community. The American black culture. They not like us. Who cares? For the people who don't, because that's when they come in different classes. You have different classes, 9 levels. Not talking about the classes I'm talking about C. with your eyes. There's social, economic, and education. Those are the three classes. There's a lot more, but I just focus on those three. In between those three classes, you have 9 levels, which is low, medium, and upper. Like Chris Rock said a long time ago, there's a battle between niggas and black people. Those are two different what? Classes. There's always been a civil war within black people in the United States. It's not an all-out civil war, but there is a civil war. It's more of a mental civil war. But we don't have those conversations. They not like us. They not like us. There's a significant group of people who really don't care about that. Because they're only attacking the DSM, drugs, sex, and money. Okay. Because the classes, the other classes, the upper classes are saying, we don't like that part of our American black culture anyway. We've been trying to get rid of that for the longest. So if they take that, more power to them, goodbye, right? But it's too ingrained into our what culture? So are you getting it? I hope you're getting it. That we not like us, it doesn't matter to the people who are different classes. And do we have a class system within the American black community? Of course we do. And we see it every day. We just act like we're, because in the American black community, we look at all black men as equal. Billionaires, homeless people are equal because we're all black. Nah, those are different classes, brother. But only in the American black community do we look at everybody as being equal. And we are not. Because once you go outside this country, you start seeing, yeah, there's classes in other parts of this. Yeah. Other parts of the world, oh yeah, they're very clear. They don't deal with these certain people, the low lives and this, that, and the other. They don't all just treat everybody the same. That's here in America. Even me. Somebody may say, well, wrong. You Uncle Tom, you Coonan, you this, that, and the other. Man, I'm just speaking what I see. I'm an observer. You see it too. The educated lames, similar to me, they see it. Street dudes, they see it. But the American black community as a whole ignores it. This shit's hilarious to me. It's hilarious to see the different levels and how they try to associate with each other, and it doesn't work. So what part are they taking? The drugs, sex, and money. That's a part of the American black culture. Part of the American black community. And I made it very clear what the American black culture and community is the what I call the 1808s. The foundational black Americans, not the foundational black Americans, where we have no connection to nothing else. That's why we're very unique to this country. Like there are plants and certain birds or animals that are very unique to that region of the world or that country or that whatever. The American black male, along with the American black female, the American black community is very unique to this country. Period. Because there is no connection to anything else. We can holler, we African all we want to, and we were all kings and queens, and we're all from Egypt and all this other. You can holler at all you want to. The reality is, you go over to Egypt, you go over to Nigeria, you go over to Zimbabwe, you go over to Africa and just start living, trust me, you're going to be an American first, black second. You're going to be American African. Only in America, you're African American. Overseas, you're American African. You see it very quickly. But of course, a lot of this is probably over y'all heads. And that's cool, that's what this channel is for. This channel is not for everybody. I make very clear this channel is not for everybody. This channel is not going to be a big entertainment channel. If your brain cannot withstand certain things, you can go ahead and do what you need to do. Because that's part of the culture. Part of the class system within the culture, which I talked about, social, economic, and education. With the 9 different levels. That's all inside of the American black culture, which is the American black community. It's all the same thing. Do with it as you will. So they not like us? Yeah, they're not. They're not. But they're only taking one part of a whole bigger culture, a whole bigger community. They're taking one part, DSM, drugs, sex, and money, the entertainment part. That's the only part they're taking is the entertainment. They'll take the entertainment, they'll take some of the food, but when it comes to anything else, they're not taking that part. The reckless spending of money, they're not opening businesses, and they're not funneling them in a family unit, which is a circle to them, and they keep feeding onto each other. They're not taking, no. We don't have, we're not doing what they're doing. See, they not like us. They don't know how to be a family unit to function better. So you have the different ethnic people who work in the black neighborhoods with the liquor stores, hair and nails, beauty supplies, the food. Yeah, they're not like us. You start flipping it around. They just, I hope you get the point. People feel like we're going to unify underneath this. Nah, certain classes are. Certain levels are. They not like us. I'm out.